WTF. Why is everything crashing? That's right, stocks are going down. NVIDIA 4, AVGO 4, and Palantir down by 10. Jim Cramer, I think I have a new name for you. Jim Crater. Why? He craters stocks. When he says he likes them, oh boy, that's the top. They go straight down. It's down a lot. Palantir's down by 17% since he tweeted. Oof, that's a little bit painful. Yes, it is. And remember, we had our notes going into here, and we're still due for a higher time frame, which means that if you can watch all the way until the end of today's video, I'm going to give you an update on all of this. So let's jump straight in. The first thing we got to look at here is just the fact that our notes did work. We knew we were looking for higher lows, but now the higher lows are lost. Let's get a quick update on that. So as of right now, if we zoom in here, yesterday we were at 1 out of 4. I'm not going to remind you on what happened. Encourage you to go back and watch if you want to. Now we're jumping forward to today, where there's no longer caution. It is just red. It is 4 out of 4. Lower highs are sufficient. Until we print a higher high, we are bearish on the 1 day. Here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Yes, I know it's a little bit of a joke that stocks are down, but they could go down more. And if we look here really closely, we actually have a bearish engulfing daily candle. So if you're wondering if we're bearish, higher high, lower low, close below the low. That's our bearish recipe, but it's also a bearish engulfing candle. The high from yesterday, 644. Our high from today, 11 cents higher, bearish engulfing candle. Ouch. Yes. And the momentum names are actually leading to the downside. So leaders lead to the upside and to the downside. FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow. Are they going to matter though? The market is already on a preset course. And then on Friday at 10 a.m., Jerome Powell's going to be speaking. So yes, ouch. All right, this could get more painful. We talked about this. We could go as low as 635 and not even have anything to worry about. Here's the tricky part, because in roughly 2 minutes, I want to make sure you understand everything. If now we look here to our monthly chart, what is so curious here? Well, technically, if we look failed breakout on the monthly, last month's high, we're looking here to the H, that is 639.85. We're currently 4 cents below that, which means that we're currently tracking a failed breakout on the monthly. What this basically means is that we could start going lower. We've now actually lost this area here, or that June high. We could go back down to 637 or 635. Just watch out for those numbers. Or maybe you want to subscribe to the channel and come hang out tomorrow, because I'm going to walk you through everything. FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow, like we talked about, and then Fed Chair Powell. We also have some earnings here, and honestly, they've not been all that good so far. PanW did good, or Palo Alto, but there's a lot of uncertainty right now. And then in addition to this, we're also looking for a few things to kick off tomorrow, notably Apple. So if now we push forward here, we talked about the technicals, talked about the fundamentals. Really quickly here on the on fear and greed, if we try to understand what exactly could drive the market lower, it might not take very much. Head, shoulder, shoulder. So if now we roll over or fall back into neutral, or God forbid even lower, that means we're losing momentum. Watch out for that. Back below 55 is the number to watch. Close that one out. And then Mr. Mike Wilson, what is he saying? Does the S&P have room to run? Yes. He thinks we actually started a new bull market back in what was it, April? And we could go higher to 7,200 into May of 2026. But we could crash first. Thanks, Mike. All right, that's Mr. Mike Wilson. Thank you, Mike. And then as we look forward to tomorrow, this is where it gets really interesting. Apple's going to be opening a manufacturing facility. I looked into this, and I will update you on it on tomorrow's stream. It's going to be a big facility. It's part of their $600 billion spend. There's also going to be a meeting on the National Association for Advanced Batteries. And this is happening in Milwaukee on the 21st. That's in 2 days from now. Here's what gets really curious. Starting tomorrow, or on Wednesday, let's have a look here, Wednesday, Prime Minister Ishiba will announce the initiative at the Tokyo International Conference of African Development, or TCAD, in Yokohama, Japan, starting on Wednesday through to the 22nd. So Japan proposes connecting Africa and India ocean logistics. Whoa! Ding, ding, ding. That's right. Ding, ding, ding. And then South Korea is going to be meeting with Japan. This is going to happen just before they go to meet Trump in a summit. So let's go back up to the top here. There's going to be a summit. So they're slated to meet on the 25th. There's just a lot of dates getting compressed into here. So I'm not sure exactly how everything's going to work. But Mr. Modi is going over to the country with the sea at the end of the month. And We might even have a country for a summit. All right, now pushing forward, there's more news, but I'll touch more on that for tomorrow. Let's go to here. Let's close that out. There's likely going to be a big shift tomorrow. And we talked about this on the morning stream. And if you want a subscriber, come hang out tomorrow. That would be a great time to think about that. In terms of why everything is selling off, well, first of all, yes, risk assets lead to the upside and to the downside. We talked about Bitcoin. Having a look right here, higher high, lower low, bearish engulfing daily candle. That was the all-time high. Now we're lower. We're back below the 50 DMA. This is very notable because if now we close below here for 2 consecutive days, that means we could get a trend change. And remember, Bitcoin has been a very good leading indicator. So it leads to the upside and leads to the downside. I would call this distribution because there's not really any buying, selling, even though we went to new all-time highs. That's fine. Price is king. And if we look here to Ether, well, the move is just more exaggerated. So it's not that the market is bearish. It's that, like, what is left to buy? Buy the hype, sell the news. Well, the news is that we got global peace, and I'm not complaining. I like what I see here, and honestly, I've been doing the same thing Mr. Mike Wilson said. In terms of my personal portfolio, let me take a quick check in here because it might be a good time for me to personally check in on this. I was at 14.2% yesterday. Now I'm at 14% on the year. I was up nearly 1% today, so I gave my profit back, and I'm down by roughly 0.2. The market's down by 0.5. I would call that a win. And then secondly, looking here on an annual perspective, the S&P is up by 9%. So the most important thing for me has just been trying to take my open gains and turn them into real gains, or realizing profit, or funding trades, realizing profit. And honestly, I'm not a great investor. I'm a much better trader than I am investor. So this has been a learning journey for me as well. And what I'm trying to show you here is that I've been methodically and strategically raising cash, redeploying into other things, but half my account is in cash right now, and I'm happy because if the market goes down, I should, again, keyword being should, outperform because I go down less. In my second account, it's very boring right now, right? There's not a lot going on. Waiting for these alerts. If this week the S&P and the NASDAQ drop by an additional roughly 2-3%, it's 2.7% to be precise, I'm going to buy those suckers. What am I going to do? Probably make some money with them. If we now look here to my current portfolio, it's pretty boring. I've talked about this. I'm moving at the end of the week. I don't plan to do very much. I've got 90+% cash in my Elgo account. I got a couple of names, and honestly, I'm up 0.1%. It's not really anything. I'm just trying to protect the higher low. I don't know when the market's going to finally give me that dip. But if Mike Wilson is right, I think this is what's going to happen. Now let me show you what I think is going to happen. This is the weekly chart. Let's pop over here to QQQ, because if now we think about that very simple recipe, let's go back to here. Let's look to our bull and bear recipes. So if we go to how we actually get to 2 out of 4 bearish, it basically means that right now on QQQ, if we close out here on Friday, we've now printed the lower low and we're currently below it, which means that on a weekly perspective, like the NASDAQ is now red on the daily and yellow red on the weekly because we're below last week's low. That's bad. So let's make the hollow candles full. Now we're just looking to the low from last week, looking to the L, 57157. So we're below that. Oh, so we're tracking number 2. Yes. And then remember, by closing at or near the low of the candle, it implies downside momentum. So right now I'm forecasting that unless we rally tomorrow, I think we might go to 4 out of 4 bear here, which means that now we actually have bearish momentum. And I've talked about support. It's further than where the targets are to sell. Like, we got a lot of room to slide here. And notably on S&P, which is where we focus, we don't even have a lower low yet. I'm just forecasting, right? I'm forecasting. I see some pretty dark clouds in the sky. I'm saying, whoa boy, right? I'm seeing some dark clouds. I'm at the beach right now. I'm enjoying myself, but I'm going to get off the surfboard and I'm going to go to my car. Doesn't mean I have to leave. It just means I am prepared, right? I'm getting ready. I'm not all out. I've raised cash. I want to buy the effing dip. Where? If it's not going to be here, let's see what happens on the weekly chart. And now I'm going to leave you with the key takeaways. So the NASDAQ's now broken. We've already checked that box off. If now we look to here, what do we want to do? Well, we're over 610. I have a pink pivot right here at 613. If you're not prepared for us to go down there, this is what you need to do. You need to make a plan right now. Expect we're going to go right back up. Be prepared. We're going to go down to support. That way you will be less surprised, not unsurprised. And then more importantly, pause right now if you need to. This is how I like to tell myself what I should do. Should I wait, buy, or sell? Just avoid what you're going to regret more. If you own stocks, I generally fall into bucket number one, whether I own or don't own. I don't know where you fall. Again, pause right now if you need to. I own stocks. Am I going to regret they go down or that they go up? You're always going to regret both. What are you going to regret more? And that is where, again, different accounts have different goals and different tactics. So on here, it's tactical. Every level is predefined. There's no thinking required. In my other account, there's a lot of thinking. It's stressful. So what I try to do is just avoid what I'm going to regret more. Keyword being more. Why? You're going to regret both. I already know that. You know that. Avoid the pain. Otherwise, sticking your head in the sand is not going to make you a better trader. I'm basically doing nothing. I'm treading water. That's great because it's summertime outside. Okay, so now let's think about this. If we want the S&P to go lower, what do we want? Well, again, we want to see that lower low this week. We want to get below 634.66. That would blow out the weekly low. And that would also mean that the NASDAQ is lower, right? It's going to drag it even lower. But now let's think about this. If we do what we did on the one-day chart, let's go back to S&P on the one-day chart, because yesterday we got only to 1 out of 4. And if I'm confusing you, again, please drop a comment because I'm trying harder today to focus on one thing, which is literally just the dots. So the dots are very helpful for me. If they're not helpful for the audience, I have to do a better job. Here's what I want to do. So going into yesterday, we had the low 64252 from the previous day, which is Friday. We went below it, right? That's the lower low, but we rallied back up and saved it. So that means we only got to 1 out of 4 bear. Right? Not a passing grade. I said that. When I came home with 25%, my parents said, Justin, do you understand that's a failing grade? Yeah, I do, Mom. I'll try harder next time. So again, print the lower low is 1 out of 4. We have to close below it. Right now, the NASDAQ is tracking that. So if the NASDAQ is now going to reverse and go back up higher, because we already printed the lower low, if it now rallies back up and saves it, by default, what that implies, it's not a guarantee. There's no 30-day money-back guarantee. It just means that the S&P will have rallied and the low was defended. That's it. That's the video. If you still need more, I encourage you to rewind and replay. If not, come hang out with me at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. Thanks so much.